alaikum. Welcome to Business Lunch. This is Shmaila Azim. We will talk about today Islamic banking, and if I bring it to your attention that the total size of world Islamic banking industry is about $1.2 trillion. It's rapidly growing, and it's rapidly growing in Pakistan as well. We'll talk about this on our show today. We have our special guest today from UAE, who's Muhammad Qasim Al Ali. He's Chief Executive Officer for National Bonds, UAE. We also have in our studios Mr. Rahil Iqbal, who's Chief Executive Officer for Iman Financial Services. We'll welcome them to our show today, and we'll talk about Islamic banking and financing and saving schemes. Welcome to our show. We were talking about National Bonds Corporation. So it's said to be the world's largest Islamic savings schemes program they have. So can you tell us about the journey?
The journey started 2004 when we did surveys in the UAE about the saving sentiments, and we discovered that 3 out of 4 residents in the UAE, they are not happy about their savings. So the government said that this will be a strategic target to introduce an entity to inculcate the savings culture within the UAE in general. So 2006 we were the first ever Mudaraba based price linked saving scheme. We are the one only in the world, and alhamdulillah since then we have taken like a rocket. We have 700,000 customers in 7 years,
yes,
which other banks envy us, because it takes about 20 years to get to that number. And we look forward inshallah to having that 700,000 bondholders even expand bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and you were talking about Mudaraba Sukuk, so can you tell us more about it, so
yes,
our common viewers, they understand?
It's a good question, Shamaila,
yeah,
because most of the sukuks issued in the world are either murabaha or musharaka. It's less than 1% of sukuks issued around the world is Mudaraba based. Now, the Mudaraba based has in my opinion, the biggest growth opportunity in the world for one reason. One is that the funding from Europe and the States has almost shut off because of the crisis that they have at their backyards. So people and entities and countries have sorted out two alternative means of funding. Now, the beauty about a scheme like national bonds is that it's retail based. When it's retail based, that means that you depend on the population of the country for those funds to be generated and then invested back into the country, which again increases the economical cycle of the country. You're not dependent on an IMF, you're not dependent on banks, it's an open infrastructure, architecture, whereby
because Islam encourages a circulation of wealth, so
yes,
it's based on that.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you see that in Pakistan?
Pakistan has a huge market.
Yeah.
We haven't had an opportunity to do a Mudaraba Sukuk on a retail basis, and we are currently in process of looking at that market where we can bring an individual, a mass public to this concept and help them save money. Because this is the basic concept behind that we assist you in saving money so that which can be spent later on, and it creates wealth. When the wealth is created, automatically it comes to the economy, it is pumped into the economy, economic activity happens, and the whole cycle now then turns around. So it's beneficial for Pakistan also to have a similar saving scheme where a small saver, say 100 rupee, 200 rupee or even 1000 rupee saver can benefit out of that expertise which a bigger institution has, which I think that Pakistan currently does not have that those kind of products. But yes, we are in discussion where we are trying to get those innovative products.
If I may interject and add to
sure,
what Brother Rahil said, our scheme, when it was established, it was also established to protect the small saver. Number one, small savers, because they are not financially educated, they might end up in losing all their savings by investing in equities, for example. And when the global crisis came, a lot of people lost their savings. The other thing is that when we accumulate all these funds from the small savers, we are able to generate better returns for them than if they go alone. So that's why our returns were very competitive with other Islamic financial institutions.
And you are working on the awareness programs to even
Yes.
aware these small
savers,
small
correct.
savers. And so, and how do they start? If you can tell us on this show, like if a person is watching, so where do they go and how do they start? And
Basically, it's a very streamlined process. They call the facilitation office, get their documents done, and we have a relationship with Dubai Islamic Bank where they can open their foreign currency accounts. They can save with national bonds through those accounts, and within the ambit of the banking industry, you don't have to go to any money exchanger or any illegal means to save with national bonds. And we provide all the on-ground facilitation where a customer journey is made as simple as possible, as convenient as possible we can.
Yeah, just to add, we just revised, Shumaila, our rewards program. So we introduced a car, we introduced also the gold bar for the ladies, and we introduced also tuition fees prizes. Why we did that? Because these are the three primary, kind of that people look for. Mashallah, since we changed the rewards program 1st of May, all the three winners were Pakistanis. So a Pakistani gentleman won the BMW 640
you're
Grand Coupe.
based in UAE?
Based
or?
in UAE.
Okay.
And a lady won the gold bar worth of 50,000 dirhams, and another gentleman has won also tuition fees of 25,000 dirhams. So Pakistanis are very lucky, and we have 60,000 Pakistanis, by the way, resident in Dubai, who are bondholders of national bonds.
So when you talk about investment schemes and all that, so like with conventional banking, there's a lot of risk factors in it, and then when a customer comes, you tell them the risk factors and they decide on that. So does the same thing works with Islamic financing?
Yes, but there's a little difference when you come to Islamic finance and Islamic savings scheme. What happens is, in conventional banking, conventional finance, you're taking a risk on the bank itself. So if the bank goes bust, that's the end of your savings. In Islamic finance, you're taking a risk on the underlying investments. So even if the bank goes bust, the underlying investments are there, they can be recouped. Say, okay, you've invested 100 rupee, 40 rupees may be lost, but there would be some asset behind it which can at least give you 60 rupee back. So it protects the small savers, plus also the Islamic investor, the manager, investment manager, has to take all the precautions, have to take all those things in line, that they do not somehow result in losses. So they do all their due diligence very carefully. They're much more secured, much more profitable, because they've done their due diligence, they've done their homework properly, and they manage it in the sense that they have been given that amanat, basically, to save and invest on behalf of their sukuk holders.
So that's why the scholars have agreed that Mudarib, the fund manager, is only liable if he was negligent.
Yes.
Negligent in a sense that he did not do a proper feasibility study, and then the money was lost, for example. So Sharia scholars, of course, they emphasize that it's a musharaka. Musharaka means that we are partners in the profit,
Partner in the losses.
and the loss is on the bondholder. Yes.
Okay. So are the rates competitive with the conventional saving programs?
Yes, alhamdulillah, over the years, national bonds has managed to give even better rates as a saving scheme. And remember that the minimum lock period in our scheme is 1 month, so we are basically 1 month term deposit. We gave better rates on annualized basis than some of the other financial institutions in the UAE.
Almost 40% more than the conventional banks, almost that.
Okay, that's
It's very
good news.
competitive.
And since inception, we gave about 30% return on the fund.
That's great. So you were talking about the lock period is 1 month. So how if a person needs to retrieve their money, is it really an easy process?
Yes, it's a very streamlined process. You just have to give us a call or go on our online system. You can just put up a redemption request, and everything is done electronically. There's no hanky-panky, nothing to sign or anything. It's your money. You want to redeem it after 30 days. You can just give us a call or just put up an online request, and we streamline the whole process. So it's very easy.
Yeah, of course, we always aim to innovate and introduce better services to our bondholders. So one of the things that we are looking at for the future is that if that redemption fee, redemption amount can be put via an SMS message to you, and then you can just withdraw it from any ATM machine, either in the UAE or outside the UAE.
That's good. So it's even actively, like, you know, it's easier process than that.
Basically integrating technology within this industry.
Yeah.
That's good, great. Yeah. So what about the regulators? They've been assisting financial banking.
Regulators in Pakistan have been very assistant. They have been assisting the whole industry per se, but they need to do more for the industry. They have to basically now tell the conventional people that, okay, you need to stop this, and only Islamic finance will prevail. That's the case with even in Dubai also. He might agree on that, but they have to do a lot of work. They have been doing it, but in my view, they still have to do a lot of work to assist the Islamic finance institutions to grow their base. As I said, it's just 8%.
Yeah.
We need to go up to 97%.
Yes.
So there's a huge room available over there, and only without if there's no support from the regulator, even this would have not been achievable.
Yeah, I think the global crisis, Shumaila, has really exposed the conventional banking system, financial system, whereby, you know, the authors of the conventional system, they themselves admit that it's a sick body and they need an alternative. The beauty about as Brother Rahil explained about the Islamic financial system is that it's asset-backed, where it reduces risks, and there are always assets that you can liquidate in case something goes wrong.
And talking about this, Pakistan is the third largest nationality for national
Yes, it
bonds.
is, yes.
So do you see it going forward? Do you see it increasing? Like you said, 8% is, you know, we have it right now. So
Yes, Alhamdulillah. In the UAE, Alhamdulillah, the growth is very healthy within the Pakistani community. We aim to do a lot of activities for the Pakistani community in the UAE. In Pakistan, of course, Iman Financial Services is helping us to, put the word out that national bonds is available for Pakistanis as an offshore fund that they can invest in. And we will continue our roadshows in Pakistan to do two things. One, to increase the awareness about the Mudaraba Sukuks, and the second one is to, of course, increase the awareness about national bonds.
So how was your experience so far with the roadshows?
Alhamdulillah, very excellent. I just came back from the first session and the training, and everybody was interested to know more about national bonds. It's a Mudaraba-based, price-linked, saving scheme, where we give about $13 million a year in terms of prizes. The concept is very unique, and it can be replicated in any country around the world. Now, Pakistan having over 160 million, I think that it's a fertile land to have the replica of national bonds here, inshallah, in Pakistan in the near future.
Mr. Ali, Mr. Iqbal, we'll take a short break right here. We'll come back and talk more about this Islamic banking, Islamic financing. Let's take a short break. We'll see you right back.